Welcome back, and today we're talking about Talentless Nana episode 10. So like always, let's just jump into it. Episode 10 of Talentless Nana. I was really looking forward to this episode just to see how Nana would get away from Jin. We know Jin, overpowered, he can transform into other people and use their talent. So this dude is definitely on a whole new level. He was the previous class. We know there was a war between factions that the class created. And he's essentially the one that came out on top. Jin, the most powerful one, he murdered everybody in his class. He's top dog, top tier. And this is who Nana is dealing with. Now, Jin is very interested in who Nana was calling. He's kind of thinking that she was going to call the government or somebody like her ally. So he's kind of curious about that. So he doesn't want to kill Nana just yet. So he lets her run away and, he shoots her in the back with the fire dude's talent. Very powerful stuff. And that's what we start learning about Nana and her past. Now, before we jump into the rest of the episode, let me remind you to like and subscribe. It definitely helps the channel out. And of course, I greatly appreciate it. But let's talk about Nana, because this episode was definitely heavy on Nana's past, right? Like, not a lot happened in this episode. We just got to learn about Nana's past, and there seems to be some type of inconsistencies when it comes to that story, right? Let's start talking about it. So Nana essentially tells Jin that, she doesn't know her brother because she doesn't have too many memories about him, and that her parents were murdered by enemies of humanity. We don't know exactly who that is. It could have been a regular human being, right? At this point, I do think the government is kind of brainwashing Nana, right? Like her parents died early on. So maybe the government, because we know her father, from what she said, we don't know if it's true, her father used to work for like some type of a talent agency in the government. So maybe the government kind of picked her up, took her under the government's wing, put her under some type of like military training, and kind of brainwashed her into thinking that it was the enemies of humanity who murdered her parents, and got her to thinking that she needs to kill all the enemies of humanity. That could be one possibility, of course. Now, later on, whenever Jin decides that he's not going to kill Nana, again, I think Jin is a very smart person, right? So I think he's trying to play his cards. I think he's just trying to figure out who's behind all of this, right? Because he's probably going to go after the government. I can't imagine Jin just sitting around living in a cave for the rest of his life. I'm sure he's going to have a plan, and maybe he's trying to figure out who's sending all these assassins to this island so he can go and deal with them. Because we know Jin is very powerful. I don't even know how people are actually going to deal with him. And we see Nana is actually trying to figure out his weakness. One of them seems to be that once he uses the talent of somebody else, he also inherits that weakness. So with Michiru, he can't just heal Nana because he doesn't know how to use her talent that much. So it could end up using a lot of his lifespan to where he dies. So that's why he didn't heal her right then and there. He instead took her to the dormitory and put her in front of Michiru's room so she can deal with that. And Michiru is very tired of healing Nana, I'm guessing, because she was very fatigued whenever they were in the funeral. And we see Kyoya, he's being aggressive with the teacher, telling him, whenever you make that call to the, whoever you need to call, make sure I'm in that room, because I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to tell them everything. And again, I'm pretty sure those top dogs of the school are probably the same people that are sending the assassins. So they're not going to care. I'm sure they're not going to do anything. The students are out here by themselves, and just the teacher. The teacher is not really doing anything. I mean, how do you have students dying and there's not like a big red button that you can press and it would come in like the military or the police or somebody will come in to investigate, right? Like, they're just sitting in an island where how many students have died now? Like 4 or 5? Yeah, something is up, especially with all the bodies they discovered from Yuka's zombie powers. So something is definitely up. I would feel like if this was like a responsible government run program or something, they would send people to investigate, but we know they don't care, so they're not going to do anything. And I feel like the teacher could possibly be in on this, right? He probably knows this is something that's not right. So he's probably in on the plan. Now, whenever Michiru and Nana were talking, that's where the episode kind of focused on for the rest of the episode, just getting that flashback from Nana. She's having memories kind of flood back in. So again, that could be because of her brainwashing that the government put her on. She probably didn't remember too much. And now that Michiru is kind of, being a psychiatrist and working her mind, she's starting to remember. We see that one of the reasons she thinks that is her fault is because of what the police officer said when they were kind of talking to her, right? The police officer said, oh yeah, you left your room, the window, you left it open. We don't know if that's true, right? We don't know if that's true. I know I read some articles that Japan has a really high, like, not crime rate, but they can actually get people to confess to crimes. It's really high. So maybe they were kind of telling the story so they could close the case, right? Saying that, oh yeah, Nana, you left your window open. That's how the burglar came in and killed your parents. That's what happened. And we don't know if that's true, right? We just don't know if that is true. Because we know that Nana said that whenever she went to get her manga, hey, kudos for Nana, she's a manga reader. Whenever she sneaked out at night, she kind of said that she doesn't remember if she actually closed the window or not. And I'm guessing that she did. Maybe not. We just don't know, right? That's one of the story that I'm kind of flimsy on. I don't know if what the police officer said was true. Maybe they were just trying to force that into Nana, so she would say, yeah, I left it open. That's why my parents were murdered. And they will be able to close the case right then and there. And not have to do like a major investigation, right? So that could be the case. Or the other case may be that, you know, she did leave it open and that's what happened. We don't know. We don't know just how much of the truth Nana is saying. Now, of course, hopefully we actually get to learn the truth about that. Maybe her story is, again, due because of the brainwashing that she went through with her training. So maybe later on we actually get to find out the truth. We might even be able to see who was the one that killed her parents, because I will say some of the scenes that we got here, they were censored, right? Because the blood was not red. It was kind of like that purple color. It was those dark tints that they were using. But seeing Nana as a kid asking for help, and she had, I believe it was her mother's head in her lap, that was brutal. Like, no kid should have to go through that. That was messed up. I did not see that one coming. I thought she was just like in the train station asking for help. No, she had the beheaded head in her lap. That was messed up. So yeah, hopefully we get to learn who that murderer is. I'm sure later in the manga maybe it'll come up, and you know, Nana would try to fight that person. But really, that was what this episode was all about, just Nana's past. Now, at the last little bit of the episode, we see somebody else was murdered, and we know Nana did not do it, right? Because she was with Michiru all night. So unless Michiru was the one that did it whenever they fell asleep, or somebody else, the point is there's another assassin in that classroom. Or maybe, like Jin Tachibana said earlier in the episode, right? Once bodies start piling up, that's when the psychopaths start coming out, right? Like, some of these kids, they're not being taught how to deal with their emotions. They're just kind of letting them go loose. And that's part of the problem, right? We see the government thinks they're the enemies of humanity because they have this awesome power, really powerful stuff, to where they have a kill count, a potential kill count. But instead of teaching them how to control their powers, how to deal with emotional stuff, so they don't think they're like, you know, arrogant and they can actually destroy the world and own the world. No, they're just letting them cut loose, which is the complete opposite of what you should be doing if you don't want these kids to actually become the enemies of humanity. So Jin Tachibana, I know he knows way more than he's letting on. I know he's got a plan. I'm sure he's not going to disappoint. So I honestly cannot wait for episode 11. It's going to be absolutely crazy. I want to see where this story is heading. I want to know who the new assassin is. It could even be Jin Tachibana, right? Maybe he's trying to, work things out, like maybe spice things up to start another war between the classes, like another faction war, like he had, years ago. Maybe he's trying to do that. Maybe it's a complete new character that we haven't even met yet, right? So we'll see where this one goes. Overall, the episode was good. It wasn't the best episode, right? Because even though we got the flashback with Nana, to me, it didn't seem like that amazing, really. It was like, oh, she lost her parents. All right, it's kind of sad for her. Now we understand a little bit about her state of mind and why she really wants to kill all the enemies of humanity, right? So we understand that now, but it really wasn't that great. Overall, it was an okay episode, but I am really excited what's to come in episode 11. But let me know in the comments what you thought of this episode. And like always, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode.